Hi, this is Ling. I'm the Executive Director and Head of Procurement in DBS Bank. So when I just graduated from school about 20 years ago, the procurement then was focused on global sourcing and cost management. And due to the fourth industrial revolution and China has started to become a global market player, I remember flipping through the yellow pages or the business directories and calling up every China companies available. Then there was a shift to category management and stakeholder management for a more structured and long-term strategy. And that also includes how do we partner with our stakeholders and how to be a business enabler to be able to drive the digital transformation and as well as having that speed to market. So then in 2017, I think many of the world's hottest new enterprise technologies were centered around open source technology. So then we have to repivot our focus into software assets, IP management, understanding where are our IT assets footprints, and most recent in the last 4 years, the role has evolved around taking sustainable actions through our procurement decisions. So this is still remains one of the high focus areas even today. And finally, after proving ourselves as a resourceful and trustworthy partner to our stakeholders during the COVID period, now we are in a post-pandemic world, and the role of procurement in this time now is really how do we become more resilient and smarter to navigate the emerging risk, whether is it around managing another wave of pandemic, how do we navigate ourselves in the geopolitical events, vendor M&A, food crisis, climate change, and also how can we achieve and sustain a net carbon zero scope 3 supply chain. And last but not least, the continued pursuit of joyful employee journey and meeting the high compliance standards of our regulators in our procurement lifecycle should also not be neglected. It is definitely a long-term strategy and should not be lip service. It is without a doubt that our generation lives in the most critical period in time to build a better world for our future generation. It is also clear that climate change and social inequality are amongst the biggest challenges faced by humanity. And as businesses, we have huge responsibility in creating a sustainable future for the generation to come. And ESG needs to be embedded in the way we conduct our businesses. In DBS Procurement, we have embarked on sustainability journey 4 years ago. We adopted a structured approach in managing sustainability risk in our supply chain, starting with supplier screening. All our suppliers are required to self-declare their compliance to human rights, environmental sustainability, health and safety, and business integrity. This is mandatory for suppliers who want to do business with us, and it provides the basic coverage of all these hygiene factors. But this is not all. We prioritize suppliers and categorize them on areas which matter to us because we have around 5,000 suppliers. Therefore, we need to focus on what needed attention the most. Based on our risk assessment, vendors are scoped based on supply chain risk mapping and segmentation models for us to decide the right level of engagement with them. Additionally, for RFPs involving high-risk spend categories such as printing, building, and rental works, we require 2 to 10% evaluation weightage to be assigned amongst the other evaluation criteria. Through evidence-based assurance tests, we annually assess our suppliers, processes, and their supply chain partners. And with that, we build a risk heat map for each of the supplier assets and identify the areas of improvement with them, such as toxic waste collector processes in their SOP, incorporating workplace safety, insurance for their staff, etc. And one of our suppliers who attended the sessions feedback and valued the insights and recommendations. They have also started to incorporate human rights into their supply agreements with their vendors. Some even incorporated whistleblower policies in their corporate website. So everyone has a different pace and maturity level on their sustainability journey. To accelerate our suppliers' pace, we invest time by collaborating with them on improvement projects. This is to encourage them to take up ownership to incorporate sustainability focuses in their business and operations. We find having Regular and direct engagement helps clear some of their doubts or concerns they are facing, and it fosters closer relationships between the two companies. Recently, we have also engaged a third-party independent sustainability rating agency to provide transparency on where our vendor stands today in terms of sustainability. It will also provide the foundation of collaborative approach where DBS can grow with them in our sustainability journeys together. We do also have set our targets until 2030 in decarbonizing our Scope 3 supply chain. So as you can see, this is a journey and definitely requires a long-term strategy. We need to consistently fine-tune our framework and methodology, and in time to come, we might be even looking at disqualifying suppliers from RFP awards who has critical sustainability issue. ESG reporting and mandatory disclosure requirements are expanding rapidly, and thus this is imperative for everyone to take sustainability action now. Since 2020, we have set aside some budget to train suppliers in the region who needed help. Topics such as global developments, compliance obligations, organizations' roles and responsibilities, setting environmental objectives are discussed in the training. After the training, the suppliers are required to present their post-training sustainability plans and actions. And it doesn't just stop there. We continue to have regular conversations with them to help them in adopting the best practices that are aligned with DBS values, giving them the right guidance and advice. The responses received from the trainings were very positive. One of the participants feedback that the training had provided them with the new perspective and insights into environmental sustainability and how they can apply these concepts as an SME. The other area we are dialing up is DBS leadership in the industry and outreach. DBS continues to set the pace as a sustainability champion in the industry. Together with Mandai, Singtel, and StarHub, we co-founded the NSPR, which stands for National Sustainable Procurement Roundtable, in 2019. It is a national platform founded to drive sustainable procurement practices as well as outcomes in Singapore through developing strategies, corporate publications to embed best practices. And to date, the NSPR has 14 members through various industries. NSPR also advances sustainable procurement agenda through events and dialogues, and these events are highly intense and of high quality. The other part we are dialing up is DBS leadership in industry and outreach. There is a comprehensive coverage of topics around restorative procurement, and the objective is really to create opportunities for innovation and collaboration. We encourage our suppliers who need support or guidance to speak with us so that collectively we can work out a roadmap that benefits both parties. The key, I feel, is engagement and the frequent communication at all levels. And how do we make it a ritual so that it operates like a clockwork? We have monthly forum with the category leads to discuss sourcing pipelines, the underlying stakeholder strategies, as well as what are some of the pertinent risk issues. So all these insights will continue to be called out when we update the stakeholders, MDs, or their contract landscape review. There is also a quarterly senior management update session where we discuss about vendor risk management strategies and initiatives. And all this information are interrelated. I will be joining 2 panel discussions on 7th of July. The first one is to discuss the critical success factors that has helped negotiators keeping back businesses afloat during COVID-19. And the second one is a 2025 crystal ball outlook on how Asia procurement landscape will evolve in the next 2 to 3 years. This is the first face-to-face meeting and large-scale event where procurement professionals all over the region will gather to share insights, best practices, as well as how they have taken away from the recent pandemic. So I really look forward to this event and I hope to see every of you there.